flag is up, and it's good.
You're listening to The Extra Point, hosted by Phil Ruskin. Welcome.
Yo, welcome to another episode of The Extra Point. It's your boy, Phil Ruskin, hanging out with you. And of course, as always, my guy, Mr. Kendall from the Fantasy Football Tavern. What up, dude?
Hey man, just living the dream, having the same problem I think you are, which is a lot of good drafts, which means a lot of tough lineup decisions that I'm sure we'll go. Honestly, doesn't it feel like Dynasty's almost like kind of a nice break in the midweek, where you're like Redraft has me stressed out with too many close calls. Dynasty feels fun to take a trip to.
This is why I play in, like, you know, we've got our listener league, we've got our OG league, and I've got the ultimate of OGs, like my original league that I've been running. Well, it's actually the first year I'm not running it, ironically, but the league that I have been in since college. Those are my only three redraft leagues, and the Megala Bowl. I do the Megala Bowl through the Fantasy Footballers just because it's fun, and I had a really good draft there as well. But for those that don't know, we were chatting pre-show in the green room. Kendall and I were talking about I have a little quarterback problem this week, so I'm gonna start the show this way, Ken. I'm gonna do exactly what I said I wasn't gonna do. Screw it, it's my show. I have a little problem this week. Jaden Daniels, as you all know, probably not gonna play, so I am looking at streaming a quarterback, and I'll give you guys some names. Let me know what you think. I know a couple guys from my league are listening to this show right now, so if you're listening, do not snake my guys just to take them from me. That's not cool. I'm just kidding. Do what you need to do, but. Here's some names: Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Daniel Jones. So if you're listening to the show and you have and you have Jaden Daniels, who would you stream? Maybe throw some comments in there. We will get to it. Obviously, this is a Dynasty show, but we still got to play it for the whole season. So we'll see what we do. Kendall, I don't want to say this, but it has to be said. He was on the poster. He's one of my favorite players in the entire NFL. He will no longer be available for the rest of the season. So as we do with all these shows, we are talking at the top here about the quarterbacks. We will go position by position, giving you some takes on players that are buys for us, that are sells for us. Of course, this is a Dynasty show, so keep some of that in mind. But just guys that were also, some mid-level guys we're keeping an eye on, stock up, stock down kind of things. Kendall and I, obviously, as you know, are big traders, big day traders. But it's obviously Joey B. Look, you're not trading him away in Dynasty. So let's just get that out of the way. Obviously, you're not going to trade Joe Burrow no matter what your format is. Single quarterback, start two quarterbacks, or a super flex. My real question is, what's your pivot plan, right? And the easy answer is, I think Jake Browning is, I'm guessing, on your waiver wire. If it's a really deep league, sure, maybe he's rostered. Obviously, his ceiling is not what Burrow's is. But I think the question that I have is, like, obviously, it's what's your pivot plan. But before you answer that, Kendall, do you think Jake Browning is even the quarterback for the remainder of this season for the Bengals?
It's a big question I was getting in a lot of my DMs and in the Discord and whatnot, and I'm a little concerned that maybe he's not. I think it's most likely him. Yeah. Just because whoever he knows the offense, new guy comes in, he has to learn so much, and even if he's more talented, probably can't take on the system. It also creates a big burden just from like an organization of, if you bring someone in, it costs us something, it costs us coaching, it costs a lot of stuff they don't have to do if they stay with him. So it's a risk. It's a smaller risk than I think we're thinking of. But that being said, it's still there. So I'm not going crazy to acquire him.
Neither am I. I do think here's some things that I think are interesting. Number one, we know for a fact Adam Schefter said that there was confirmed calls into Green Bay about Malik Willis. Yeah. Green Bay also came and worked out. My memory is forgetting who it is. They worked out the kid from UCLA who went to the Browns. Why is my brain blanking on it? Someone throw it in the chat. Oh my goodness, that's the kind of day it's been.
Behind Gabriel, right?
No, it's not Shador. Shador. I mean, I can't imagine they sell Shador to an in-season rival. Anyway, it'll come to me. But the Green Bay worked out a quarterback, which is interesting, right? So the things that I think everyone's going to be talking about: do they call the Falcons? Do they kick the tires on old Cousins? Because I would.
Yeah.
The bigger name, Derek Carr is quote unquote retired. Now I see on Instagram and on X today that Derek Carr talking about, well, I retired because I didn't want to take the Saints' money, but am I really retired? So I don't think Derek Carr comes back. But again, if it gets really ugly, we've seen stranger things. Here's the name that I want people to pay attention to. And this, I would probably kick the tires and make the thank you, Rob, the Dorian Thompson.
Dorian, yeah, DTR.
I knew it was going to get there. It just took me a minute. So here's a name I would actually consider trading for, regardless of the Burrow situation. Jameis Winston.
Ooh, I like that. You sell some tickets at a minimum, man.
There's 3 quarterbacks in New York. We know what their succession plan is. Russ looked okay. Obviously, he looked terrible in week 1. You couldn't touch him. If you of course, he was on your bench last week in a super flex league, or even in a potentially in a start 2, unless you had no other options, and he balled out. Right now, it's probably game of the year. But at the same time, I believe, and I'm guessing you're going to agree with me, at some point this season, once the Giants are mathematically eliminated, they're going to turn to dart. What is Winston doing there? And if the Giants are out of the playoffs, which we all expect they will be in the next 6 to 7 weeks, sorry, Mike, if you're on the show, tonight, I know it's your group, but why wouldn't you get the extra capital for April and get something out of Winston? He's not going to be there's a huge potential that Brian Dable's not even the coach of this team next year, right? Joe Shane may not be the GM. So I think at the end of the day, Jameis Winston, we've seen what he can do in the NFL. He's like a younger Joe Flacco. He always seems to pop up on your fantasy roster at some point every single season, even if it's just a spot start for a week or two. So I would go and kick the tires with the Jameis Winston owner in your league, especially in a single quarterback league, because it may be worth it to go and throw a third out there in a dynasty league to get Jameis Winston. I think he'll be in the league next year. I don't know where, but I think he'll be in the league. Do you have some thoughts on that? I mean, to me, would you rather have, if you knew Jameis Winston was going to be a starter in New York or the starter in Cincinnati, you knew that, crystal ball said yes, would you rather have Jameis or would you rather have Jake Browning?
Oh, I'd rather have Jameis.
So that's my point. So why wouldn't you just go and try and acquire him for cheap? Because it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, I think you can actually get him for a 4th, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Get him for a 4th.
Fourths are starting to rise up just because, a lot of the 4th rounder, the first was Puka, but now there's some running backs that are starting to hit, like the Woody Marks, the Tesla. These are all 4th rounder guys that are starting to buzz a little bit. So, yeah, I think that pick is actually starting to become I want another dart throw. And I think that's a fair price for what can ultimately be pretty good for your team. It's not horrible. You could probably sell him back for what you got him for, if nothing else, right? He's not going to be dead, I don't think.
I would kick the tires on Jameis Winston and try and go and see if you could acquire him if you lost Joe Burrow, because I do think there is a world where Jameis either gets traded out of New York because of surplus to requirement, or he just ends up having some value somewhere this season, even if he's in New York. Yeah. So these are
good guys to buy for a 4th when
it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing.
Baker Mayfield was free at one point. Remember that?
Baker Mayfield was free. Daniel Jones, I don't know which league it is, Ken. I'm sure it's a league with you, but I looked at it this morning. I made a roster substitution this morning because I just can't watch Tua play football anymore. And I was like, oh, who do I have in this league? Superflex league. And I went, oh my God, I drafted Daniel. I went way against my norm. I drafted Daniel Jones and I went, well, thank you. Let's throw it in there. So yes, Joe Burrow, 3 months. We all know the reality. It is not going to be 3 months. It's going to be the season. And look, I don't freak out on Jamar Chase. Don't freak out on Chase Brown. Their ceilings are lower, but I think they're still going to be fine. We always talk about on the show, bet on we said it last week. We'll say it again a million times. Bet on the player and the talent, not on the situation. So, and Jake Browning, to be fair, has been competent in the weeks that he has filled in for Joe Burrow in the past. So is he Joe Burrow? Of course not, but he's competent. So I don't think he's going to kill you. He's not going to win you your league, but he's not going to kill you. So if you are a Jamar Chase owner, and I am everywhere, of course, and if you are a Chase Brown owner, I think, and T. Higgins, I think you're going to be okay. So, Kendall, quarterback for us. What you got?
This was tough between 2 for me, but I went with one that it was a big preseason take for me that I think still holds true. Bo Nix. For me, I like him. I just don't love him in the same way that I think when you look at rankings, when you look at like his overall sentiment, like when I saw him being drafted, he in redraft, for instance, he was at this like people would draft him ahead of Mahomes sometimes, or in that range where I'm like, people love him, really love him. I was on the Herbert train I never got off, if I'm being real. And for me, I'm like, I can get Herbert in the 10th to 12th, and I think he's basically better Bo Nix, to be honest. And I think I'm being proven right. My take here with Bo Nix is I like tearing down when I think the difference in what I can get in the trade value is bigger than I think the difference between two players, basically. So
Yeah.
I think there's enough fantasy guys out there at the quarterback position that really disappointed people in a way that they're having to constantly worry about how bad this week could be. And I think the view on Nix is even in a bad game, he's pretty good. They're just too stable with too good of a defense, and he's too much of a grown-up. And that gives him such a safe floor with a high ceiling that people are like, you know what, this feels good, this feels right, and I will mentally be a better human being if I just tier up from whoever is causing me fits. And I think you can get a pretty decent package. I think this is the time of the year where they're either willing to sell a first to just have a better team this year that stays a better team next year and doesn't have to worry about picking and just, like really solidly tiers up, or they'll do I only want my first, but I'll sell any amount of seconds, thirds, and, auxiliary pieces or whatever. And I think depending on who you go with in a tier down, you're just going to get a nice price. I have my favorite targets in a tier down, but I think there's a wide variety that you could take a shot with. I think people are down on Caleb, but I think he's going to be attached to a good offense and a good coach for a while. I think, Baker's older, but I think he's going to play for 5+ years and in an offense that's going to be good for a long time. Maybe you get the age discount. Love just seems really steady in the offense. The team's just going to be great. Goff is older, so some people want to get off of him, but I'm fine actually getting on him for a couple of years if I can get him plus. I mean, shoot, if I'm going up to, some people might pay a first and more to get off of Goff. Well, I mean, Goff is a weird example because he just crushed it, but some of the other examples are interesting. I don't love Kyler. In fact, I kind of hate him. He's a bad example. But there's guys that, depending on the format, they will pay up to get out of where they're at. If you're not winning this year, I would tier down to Purdy if they need a starter. I think you could get a huge package for Purdy, who's got the contract and is going to be tied to a good offense and a good coach forever, right? So that's probably my favorite one. I'm tearing down from Bo Nix.
Yeah, I like that name, Brock Purdy. I like the name Jared Goff. I think it would be hard to get to love. He's been a hot start. I think people like Baker. He had a good game again last night. He looked like a fucking animal last night. You see him get rolling around on the field last night, grabbing his ankle, and then all of a sudden someone talks shit to him and he gets up and he's like, yo, first down. I mean, he was just
that 15-yard.
What a competitive
first down late was.
First of all, how did he get out of that? It should have been a sack. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I think Baker's going to get a first down. Oh, I think they're going to win the game. And sure enough, they did. It was a great drive. It was a really great drive. I'll give you this. I didn't tear down from Bo Nix, but I did tear down from Jordan Love into Jared Goff plus a second plus a third.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And I felt bad about it. Now I feel great about it. Right? You had a little bit of like seller's remorse. But I also have, I mean, this team, Kendall. This is my main dynasty team that's pretty top heavy, very, very top heavy. And my thought was like, okay, I already traded Tyreek Hill plus some other guys away to get Jaden Higgins in a first. And then I tiered down from Love to get Goff a second and a third, because my thought process is I'm so top heavy. I do need to start building up some of these, I need to have someone, because I'm going to have bye weeks. I'm going to have injuries. This is a league I've won 2 years in a row. And obviously I'm still in that championship window, but I have Josh Allen. So it's like, if I have Josh Allen, how much am I really losing if I go from a Love / a Nix to a Goff? So I love it. I think if you have a Nix, take your shot. Obviously Goff went bananas last weekend, so maybe wait till he comes a little bit back down to earth. But
even like a Cam Ward, to be honest,
Cam Ward would be
people
great.
Are kind of in on him, so
people are getting in on Cam Ward. Let's move to the running back position. I've got 4 names here. I'm not going to go super deep into these. I just want to give you guys some names, and I just want to more so, rather than give you a bunch of stats, because you guys know I love my stats and my social proof. But let's just have a conversation for a couple minutes here, Kendall. I have 4 buys. The easiest one up top is Travion Henderson, right? Dylan Sampson is a buy for me. Trey Benson is a buy for me. And Jordan Mason, I wrote this before we knew about Aaron Jones going on IR when I did the show sheet. So that one was a buy as of 2 days ago when I put the show sheet together. Obviously, everyone knows he's a buy now. So I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on Jordan Mason. But I think the caveat here with Travion Henderson, let's start at the top of this list. The challenge, you and I talk about this all the time. The challenge with rookies is guys are excited about those rookies. You just drafted him 5 months ago. You know what I mean? And not that much has changed since April other than 2 kind of pretty poor games, a bunch of penalties for Travion this week. And look, Vrabel's a Patriots guy. It's a Belichick system. You can't do that shit. You're going to sit on the bench. Like that's, you know what I mean? We saw Amari Hampton sit on the bench last night after he found one of them was Herbert's fault, but still, like he didn't come back in the game. Harbaugh's not going to put up with that. These old school coaches. So my question is, I have Travion as a buy. Do you think you can actually buy him? That's my question to you, because like I just said, guys are still excited about rookies. Is someone really going to panic and bail out after 2 games? I don't know. Do you think you can acquire Henderson? And if so, what do you offer?
I think you can. You just can't everywhere, right? You've got 2 factors in a way. You've got some owners they bought in too hard mentally and they just don't have a pivot. What you need to find is a situation where they bought in hard, but they are now losing what they thought was a winning season. And it's falling away.
I like that.
And day to day, week to week, the mental strain of not winning this year, they probably made other decisions to win this year too, right? Or to put themselves in a position to win this year. And they can't have Travion be the guy that he's good long term, but he cost me this year, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean you're getting him for a crazy discount. It just means he went from untradeable to, all right, make it worth my time, you know? And so it's like a minimum 2 firsts that or equivalent. I think that's at least where you're at right now. I still think he's at that level. Gotta be honest, I still think he's worth it though. I still think Gibbs. I was listening to the Ballers earlier, and they unloaded on some great rookie RB stats.
I heard that. I heard that episode.
And I'm like, bravo! That was a segment. By the way,
that was a good segment.
They've lost a step, but that was a segment. Good on you, Andy. Andy Holloway there. Shout out. Gibbs having because many people sold. Remember when Gibbs was cool, but people sold him. They sold him when they're like,
I bought him. I bought him.
Yeah, I traded Breece Hall for him, and plus.
Yep.
And that still feels pretty good. So I think that's the case. If you can, it's going to be pricey, but I think long-term he's worth it. I think the system that he's in is designed he just cannot fail when he's too good, and he's going to have some rookie mistakes. The challenge is you can't buy him for picks because you need to kind of give up on your season to buy him, or you need to be able to really pivot because you need to trade production for him. Ideally, you're trading someone like a Josh Jacobs plus picks to get him. That would get you there. You could do, Connor in a first. That's something along those lines.
I'm so glad you just said that name because that's the name that was in my head. Is like, what would I have to add on top of James Conner?
And Connor in the first isn't going to get you there. He's going to say, okay, we're close. He's probably going to ask for a second and maybe a third. And you're going to have to make some tough calls. Well, I don't want to go too in depth, but I wanted to give some sample ideas. If you're going to have to give good production, I would, there's some guys I wouldn't because I think they got some more life left in them. But a lot of these veterans that you want to get off the train at some point, but they're doing awesome, but you got to pay up in addition to them. If you can, like that plus another key player plus a second will probably get you there. Or that key running back transitional piece, and then enough picks so they're like, yeah, I lost Travion, but I'm gonna have a good guy. I can sell Jacobs later, and then I'll do enough with the picks. That's the narrative to get him. And if it becomes Gibbs, he's worth 3 first, and he's still profited. So I think that's the pick.
Yeah, I just want to spend a minute or two here. Dylan Sampson is a buy for me. I think he's a buy because everyone's expectation, mine included, I'm going to say that, is that Judkins is going to ramp up. I don't think but this is the thing. I don't think anyone ever thought that wasn't the case, right? The minute my expectation, I have Judkins in a couple places and I got a couple offers this summer, especially when the news was bad. Would you sell? And I got dog shit, we'll try to get him for cheap. You could tell like guys, we're going to get him for cheap. No, you're not. I don't sell for cheap, right? I still know the value of the player regardless of the legal situation.
Buying a player is you're always going to pay tax.
Always.
Is what it is. Don't try to buy a player you don't love.
Correct. And so here's my thing with Dylan Sampson. Jerome Ford is going to go away. It may not be this season, right? But he's going to go away. If you look at what happened in the April, they drafted Judkins, they drafted Sampson. They had Ford, they let Nick Chubb go. It is a very clear indication that they want Judkins and Sampson to be their poor man's Gibbs and Monty, which is what we talk about, Kendall, all the time. Everyone in the NFL, not named the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers, are looking for a poor man's Gibbs and Monty. Even Bijan has Algier. As much as we don't want to admit it, he does. So my thought, just being quite simply, is everyone's going to get on the Judkins train. He's going to ramp up. He's probably going to have a blow-up game in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and everyone's going to go, that's it. He's the guy. I think you can get Sampson for cheap. He's looked okay. His snap share came down last week, which is another reason I want to buy him, because, again, it's ramping up the hype on Judkins. What if Judkins gets injured? Wouldn't be the first time somebody in NFL got injured. Big shocker, especially the running back position. So you have a player here who's going to be on a rookie contract for the next couple years. He's shown that he can catch the ball, and that's what I'm after. 8 targets, 8 receptions in week 1. 3 targets, 3 receptions, and a touchdown in week 2. So it's okay that we expected the snap percentage and the targets to come down because Judkins is there. But this is a player that's going to be there, barring injury, for the next 3 to 4 years. Go buy Dylan Sampson.
Yep,
Similar thing with Trey Benson. Similar thing. James Conner will go away at some point, whether it's through injury or whether it's through age. Benson has already increased his workload. Here's why I think you need to buy Trey Benson right now. I bought him this summer as a part of that Tyreek Hill trade I was just talking about in a main league that I have, because I saw the writing on the wall. You need to buy Benson in the next 2 weeks, because if Conner goes down, you're not going to be able to buy him anymore.
Or if Connor just doesn't look as good anymore.
Or if he doesn't look as good.
If he looks okay, then the narrative's over. Then everyone can clearly see with 2020 vision what's going to happen.
And people are panicking on Marv. Big time on Marv.
I'm kind of there. I'm panicking on Kyler. Marv is great. Change the quarter. If you put
all the more reason to go buy Trey Benson.
Put Mac Jones there right now, and Marv's fantastic.
Probably. Yep. We're not going to talk about Jordan Mason. I know we got a comment here in the chat. Aaron Jones is out. Mason is stud. I think it's pretty easy, right? I think that one's kind of low-hanging fruit. And I think we said we run a mock draft tournament, right? I think we saw the ADP of exactly. And we saw it when in the early summer when it was still like, oh, is Mason the guy? It was, the gap started to shrink. I think every mock draft that we did, the main redraft league that I am in, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, literally back-to-back picks. Same round, 1 pick difference. So, I think Jordan Mason's going to be great. JJ McCarthy's out for a while. It's Carson Wentz. Don't get me started. We don't have time to talk about Carson Wentz. So I think Mason's going to be the guy. He didn't look good last week, but that game was bad. It was a bad game, right? Maybe Atlanta's better than we think they are defensively. It was just a poor showing by the Vikings all around. So
honestly, I'm just a redraft. I'm not fab dumping for him, though, by the way. Just heads like the team with a quarterback with other there's just a lot of question marks right there right now. I'm not ready to go crazy on it.
I don't think he's on the waiver wire. I think he got drafted. I think if you want
he
Mason,
definitely got drafted.
You're trading for him
in the 10 teamers or whatever he got drafted anywhere.
He got drafted everywhere.
Either way, I think though in redraft he'll be overrated, but in Dynasty I think he's going to be underrated. As he's got a lot of life left.
I think it's a buy in Dynasty. It's literally why he's in this segment. So give us a sell candidate here at the running back, because as much as I want to hear your take on it, because I love the player, but I also know that you're going to make a great reason as to what you can get for him in a trade, and it might sway me. So go.
Yeah, it's more timing. It's Josh Jacobs. I always think this time of year is better to sell than to buy. It's always better to sell than to buy generally, because every time you sell, you can get draft picks and draft. It's the cheapest time to get a great players in the draft. They just get more expensive from then on. So, look, I think it's a narrative thing where right now a huge slew of running backs in the NFL they had a bad week 1, they had a bad week 2, they had a bad start. Everyone went crazy on rookies this year, right? And they're all massive disappointments. They're losing people titles, losing hope. So Jacobs is what do we think about Green Bay? Well, we got the high train of the defense there too. We know defense, running back, there's correlation there. Everyone just assumes right now that Green Bay is going to be awesome. I'm one of them. I'm a Bears fan. Trust me, I know Green Bay is going to be great because it hurts my feelings, and that's going to happen. But he just feels so safe. He feels like such an easy buy because even on a bad day, he's going to be great. And on a good day, he's going to be fantastic. So why am I saying sell? I'm saying sell because when the market's like, I need him. Like, I need him right now. What they might be willing to give up a little bit extra value because they feel so infinitely secure in what they're buying, right? When there's question marks, I'm going to counter. If I have anxiety about a trade, I'm going to counter. I'm going to keep negotiating. I'm going to go to sleep for the night. I'm not going to do it, right? With Jacobs, this is how many more chances am I going to have to go get an RB1 this year? And I need it. And I need it badly. So I think the situation is you can tear down and you can still get a first. I don't know how much longer you can get a first for him, because when you can't, it's over, right? So I think you can get a first plus another piece. It was even hard to get that in the offseason. Like, he was going for like a flat first in the offseason, and somehow he increased in value. So like, if I could go and get like Tootin and a first for him, that would be such I don't think you're going to do it, but I think that's a smash. But if you're in a situation where you can sell him and you don't think you're winning this year, try to go pure picks. But if I could get a first and Braylon Allen for him, and I don't think the guy is as good as he thinks he is, that's kind of interesting. I want these guys who are going to be valuable next year. Mason, we can't go get him anymore, but I like the idea that you can get a first plus for a guy that I think is eventually just worth barely a first. I think he's great.
Let me give you a name, because I've struggled with this player in Dynasty. He scored a touchdown last night. I don't think he's on the team next year. Rachaad White. Would you go and get Rachaad White plus picks for Jacobs? Because it's the same thing you just said. I like what you just said, right? I'm looking for guys that are going to be good next year. I think Rachaad White has life in the NFL for the next 2 to 3 years. And if you've ever listened to this show, you've heard me say 1,000 times, we play Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. If you haven't, welcome to the show. But I think, we were in the group chat last night. I know a bunch of our buddies were pissed because Bucky did all the work to get him there and then vultured the touchdown, Rachaad White. But I think Rachaad White is probably out. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kendall, I'll have to look it up, but I think this is the last year of his contract.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
I think that's why it's been
even
Rachaad
mind. White kind of hinted that he was going, but I think he'll go be a younger, better Nick Chubb elsewhere.
But that's what I mean. Like, would you take Rachaad White a first and a second for Jacobs?
Oh, for sure. I think that's probably a little bit rich to go get him, but like, if you could get it, fantastic. But maybe there's a middle ground there. I mean, flip that second to a third. I'm still very, very happy. Very happy.
Let's move into some wide receivers. Look, it's been bad, man. It's been a bad 2 weeks for this guy. And the biggest issue. I know you do, and that's why I feel bad. But our job is to help people win championships, not to make ourselves feel better about our teams or worse about our teams. So
for this guy too, man.
This is my issue right now. He didn't get it done against Carolina, and he didn't get it done against Cincinnati, and those defenses both suck. So I don't want to hear the bullshit narrative about his wrist injury. Here's his upcoming schedule. Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ. Here's his upcoming schedule. Houston, San Francisco, Kansas City, Seattle, and the Rams. Those are 5 solid top half of the league defenses. I would put Houston's defense is still very good. Kansas City, Chris Jones is an animal. I mean, you've got some real issues coming up. I think BTJ is a buy candidate. I know it's not, you don't want to sell low, obviously. That's like golden fail rule 101, but I think this is my issue. I don't think people are going to sell BTJ right now. I don't think anyone's panicking after the season he put together last year. I think everyone's probably thinking the same thing. Bad 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. He's the cornerstone of my team. He's hopefully he's your wide receiver 2 because you drafted him, right? So you've probably got an alpha. Maybe you've got Amon-Ra. You're lucky enough to have Chase or Jefferson. You know what I mean? You've got somebody there. But I think you should at least go and inquire. Go and kick some tires. Go and figure out if a manager's panicking on him, because one more bad week, you should definitely be offering, right? We're not stoked about Trevor Lawrence long term. Travis Hunter doesn't look good, right? I mean, the Jaguars, this is why I said I shouldn't say it. You remember I said I'm kind of in on the Jaguars, and you're like, no, you trashed them all year last year, and you hit that, you nailed that take. And it felt so in my brain, I was like, am I pulling this much of a 180 to go from like do not draft any Jaguar to then this? I know it's Dynasty, right? But like in redraft last year, it was like stay away, danger, warning, warning, right? Like with the alligator hunt, crocodile hunter, oh, that crikey. But that's my thing. Like, I think you have to go and at least, at worst case scenario, someone turns you down. Fine, no problem. But I think this is the time to go and try and buy BTJ because it will turn around. It will get better. Let's say the wrist injury is a real thing. Fine. But like, he's getting targets and he ain't catching the ball. Where are you with BTJ? I know you own him everywhere. You and I both. We love him. We couldn't say enough good things about him. But where are you with BTJ right now?
I still love him. So here's why. The same passes that aren't connecting this year connected every time last year, and he's not worse. So let me just get that straight. The same, like I've watched every snap of him this year, and it's fingertips away from a lot of catches, 2 or 3 touchdowns, I think. I mean, he's fractions of an inch away from a pretty hot start. If he catches half of those there were some, like, it was his fault on a couple of them. I'll be straight up. It absolutely was.
Totally.
And that would scare me if I didn't see him as a rookie catching those passes. We're 2 weeks in. I've seen him do it. We've all seen him do it. If you didn't watch him last year, you want the owner that bought him after the hype, but didn't watch him last year. I watched him last year, and he was that guy. Totally. Phenomenal. So I think that's coming back. Just give it a little time. The targets are there. The force feeding. Like Nico Collins, are we like, I'm not a Nico guy.
Neither am I.
But he's on every important down. He's getting the ball. When the Jags are in the red zone, it's just BTJ. Oh, we'll give him a rush. Well, we're just getting given to BTJ. Teams that do that practice. Teams that practice see what people are like in practice. And in practice, he is probably dunking on everybody and they had a bad start. But I think if we would have seen all of a sudden Travis Hunter's getting all the high leverage looks in the red zone, I would start to get a little worried. But they're trying to get Travis involved in the screen game and some other stuff. But in the red zone, when it really matters, it's BTJ all day. And they're still looking for him. So I'm going to give it a little time. I'm still in.
So I had the show sheet up, and now I just pulled his actual player card. The 5 defenses that I rattled off got me to the bye week. I didn't look after the bye week, Kendall. At Vegas, at Houston, and then the Chargers. I would give it another week and hope that BTJ has a stinker because there are some tough defenses coming up. I do think it's possible you can buy them. I really do. I think to your point earlier about, if your season is lost, maybe go and give somebody a piece that they can win with this year.
Debo and first and a second.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I would go and give them a piece that they can win with this year. Grab BTJ. I think you're going to be happy you did because I could see this is the reason the show is called Pain or Panic. Go and find someone who's got BTJ who might be panicking. And if the next 2 or 3 weeks don't go well and that manager's record is 1-4, 2-3 going into week 5, it's only a 15-week season for the playoffs, right? We understand the NFL's longer, but like fantasy, you get 15 weeks. Once you get to week 5, you're a third of the way through the season. If it's doom and gloom and someone's panicking, go get BTJ.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about BTJ real quick, it's just our quote at this point. We play Dynasty in multi-year windows.
Yeah.
There are certain characteristics of offenses that we love about this team, not from quarterback. But De'Ami Brown's great this year, but long term, this is a 2 wide receiver system.
Agreed.
Much like the Dolphins when they were good. With I still think a bit of a quarterback upgrade. We need to, Liam needs to figure out what he's going on. His press conference was atrocious, man. I gotta fix that shit. But look, they have a good, not amazing tight end. Strange isn't blowing out like Warren or anything. This is still going to be mostly a 2 target funnel system that doesn't have a crazy high end tight end that has a running game that can move the chain. So long term, I want to invest where this is not just 8 targets a game. This is 12 targets a game target funnel, and that is very difficult. So when it hits on a level that's just hard to replace. So there's some characteristics that we want to invest in.
You've got 2 quick buys in here. let's hear the first one. I saw the second one, so I appreciate you throwing that one in there for me. But
Yeah, you
let's
can
hear
even take that second one if you want
let's hear
to.
the first one.
I'm buying Xavier Worthy. Look, I'll make it quick. Like, I'm not overpaying for him, but it does feel like if you were nervous about him, you're a lot more nervous. He got injured again. There's just a lot of nerves. Like, oh, when he's finally healthy, it'll just be Rashee Rice time. It's just kind of negative. We just expected better things, and it's not there. And that's just a healthy criticism. My take is that I think second round, and I'm saying like Dynasty in your rookie second round, I think they're a little overrated because there's so many second round day 2 wide receivers that just never get there ever. And we always love them and we'll keep them in our hearts for too long. So I think he's off of the first route. And I think some people really just need to get off and move on to other things. And I think you can buy him for a couple seconds. I think you'd buy him for a second plus some production, but I think there's some upside left there. I think when I watch the Chiefs, Tyquan Thornton's catching deep touchdowns, and he's a much worse product, or as I should say, Xavier Worthy's a much better product, much more complete product all the way around than a Tyquan Thornton. The team just needs a good wide receiver. I do think he's a good wide receiver, and we're playing this in a multi-year window. I think Kelsey's cooked. At some point in time, if this becomes the Rashee Rice Xavier Worthy show, I think Xavier Worthy is basically the he's the JMO for Detroit. Why does JMO work? Because everything else works, and you can't also match up against JMO. The second you forget about him, it's over, right? That's what happened in that game. JMO wasn't having a good game until he was. That's all that Worthy needs, and Mahomes is always going to be that guy. So I think there's better days, not amazing days, not like what we thought he could be when we drafted him in the first round of his rookie draft. But I think the narrative is maybe a little bit too low, and the team's future is him and Rice and a running game that just doesn't work. They need the
running game's bad.
Yeah. So that's Worthy, and your boy. I just got to say, look, I watched that Texans game, and dude, they need a second option. They're throwing so many balls to Nico that just make no sense.
I know.
And look, rookie wide receivers just take a while to get on the field and learn and get going. And I think by the end of the year, look, even if he's not great, that O-line literally can't get any worse.
No, it's atrocious, man. It's look, I love Jaden Higgins, right? I love the kid. I have him everywhere. It scares me sometimes when I have him everywhere because, again, it's like, what if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
Diversify the portfolio. But you just said the name a couple minutes ago that I literally pulled as the comp. Jameson Williams. 2022, only played 6 games, right? He was in and out of the lineup with the injury coming out of Alabama, right? Then 2023, then he gets suspended for the gambling thing. He has a shit season. He finishes as wide receiver 81. And then in 2024, last season, boom, explosion. Wide receiver 19 on the year. So be patient with Higgins. That line, like you said, that line's got to get better. Christian Kirk coming back this week. I don't think that's good for Jaden Higgins. But again, maybe that's the perfect time to go buy Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, I actually think that it is a better time.
It's a great time.
I got to admit, it might not be Jaden Higgins' year. But it might not be the Texans' year. And I think that's fine if we're playing Dynasty like a true D-Gen that is okay winning and losing as long as we're consistently looking to spin it up until we're winning all across the board. It might be a traditional year 2 breakout for him. It might be a year 2 breakout for the whole current iteration of the team. So
could be. I know we got some questions in the chat. We will get to those, starring some of these. So I appreciate you guys throwing these in there. We will get to those at the end. If you do want to, we have the super chat available. If you guys do want your questions answered, throw us a super chat. We will stop whatever we were doing literally mid-sentence and get those questions answered. I do want to go through the tight ends, and then I think
like
Kendall,
tight end a lot.
Yeah, well, let's go through these tight ends, and I think we'll do some questions, and then we'll get to kind of the rest of the show here. My tight end buy is Zach Ertz, and it is not sexy at all. And I'll be honest, it kind of made me feel funky just putting his name in the show doc. But if you are, and this is the caveat, if you are a win now team and you are struggling at the tight end position, which unless you have Bowers, right? Unless you've got McBride, yeah, well, maybe, but in Dynasty, he's going to be fine. But if you've got Bowers, if you got McBride, right? If you've got, well, again, George, but George is injured as per usual. I would go and trade for Zach Ertz, right? Through 2 weeks, 3 for 5, 26 and 1. Touchdown. 6 for 8, 64 and 1. Jaden's banged up. Whether he plays this week or not, it's not the point. I don't think this knee just suddenly gets better next week. So I don't know. My point in saying that is Jaden, even if he's playing, I don't know that they're going to run him as much, because why would you put your future of your franchise and let him get hurt? This is a team that has playoff aspirations, that has deep run aspirations. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but they think they are. Of course, every team thinks they are. And even if you're not this season, Jaden's the future of your franchise in Washington. So I just, Eckler's out for the season. What is Eckler's greatest contribution to the football team? Catches passes. So now you've got, people are going to be pissed at me for saying this, but this is the truth. You're going to have a split backfield with Bill, with McNichols. Rodriguez potentially is going to mix in there a little bit. So I don't think it's Ja'Cory to the moon. I don't. I think you're going to be pissed off because you're going to have some good games, but I think McNichols is going to get more than you want to.
He gets to space, just not to the moon. Okay.
Yeah, he'll get to the. I'm not great with the
international, the satellite. He'll dock at the space station.
You think he's leaving the atmosphere? Okay, that's fair. But look, I love. He's hanging in the closet. One of my favorite NFL players of all time, Debo. Gee, what if Debo got hurt? What a first time that would be in his career. So Terry's been slow because he didn't practice all summer. So I think Zach Ertz is going to continue to get a target share. He's going to be a red zone threat.
He is a great red zone threat.
He's a tremendous red zone threat. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to cost you nothing because he's old and he's not going to be on your roster in 2 years. He may not even be on your roster next year. So I think if you are a championship team, a playoff caliber team, go get Zach Ertz. Go do it, especially if you lost George Kittle.
And trade for him now, because if something happens to your lineup, you buy him, but something bad happens, you can then reflip him to a different playoff contender team for exactly what you paid, if not maybe an additional fourth. He's a very clean liquid buy.
Yep, agreed. Give us a tight end, Kendall, that you are buying or selling.
I'm going to buy Dalton Kincaid. Not buying him everywhere, but like I'm the Dalton Kincaid owner in a lot of places. So coming from like I have the ownership experience, and I was definitely on the how do I get out of this into something? It just feels gross. It just feels like if you took Kincaid, you might have maybe passed on Achane. You know what I mean? Like it was that was a rough draft. There were some other guys. If you took Kincaid, that means you didn't take Rashee Rice 2 picks later. I mean, there's that it was brutal if you took Kincaid, to be honest, in that draft, and I will never forget it. So some people are like, oh, but he's kind of looking up. It's like, yeah, but if you're the Kincaid owner long term, man, it doesn't feel good. It never felt good for a while. So there's something to the Bills' offense. They're always putting up points. He made some mistakes last year, had some real costly drops. The costly drop I think we're all thinking of late in the year there. But, in a day where they didn't pass the ball a ton, he had 22% target share. He looked good doing it. He was scripted early and often. Looked like he was going to catch 10 passes. And, to be fair, the other pass catchers around him are doing okay. But Keon will probably remain somewhat inconsistent. I'm in on him, but it just feels like Kincaid could very much come into, all of a sudden could he be a better Ertz? Not career, but like right now, where he's not catching a billion balls, but he is getting red zone looks. He can go deep. And he does seem to be a pretty good bailout option as a big physical player that Josh Allen likes to just, take the shot. So I think he's an inexpensive. There's more guys like Juwan Johnson is cheaper. Sure. Zach Ertz is cheaper. Yeah. But I struggled between like Kincaid and Pitts, but I just think as the former owner of Kincaid, I picked him because I think the owner is probably willing to say, look, if I'm wrong, I don't give a shit. I can't do this anymore. And I think you're going to have him for a long time, and I think he'll be okay. I don't like James Cook, but I mean, being connected to that offense sometimes is just awesome. Yeah. And if Kincaid starts to break out, I don't think it'll stop. So I think he's a nice price right now. What did we just draft rookie tight ends in this previous draft? I think is early. We took Ben Sinnott previous year at like the 2-3 turn. Hadn't done much yet. So who are you taking next year? If you buy Kincaid for a second and a third, what if you were to use those picks on tight ends, right? Ferguson, Arroyo, Fannin hit, right? But outside of that, we still got to wait and see on a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
right?
You're waiting on Mason Taylor.
And Colston Loveland. Hey, I hope and pray all day. Look at my background. I'm just saying Kincaid seems like he's got a cleaner path to being startable, plus with some upside, where those other guys aren't even startable. So I'm not saying this is not the world's greatest buy of all time. no tight end almost ever is.
No.
We don't do this segment for a long time, but I think he's at a price point where I don't think you lose. Even if you lose small. If you win, I think you win big. It's a good buy usually when that's the case.
I didn't put this guy on the show. I just want to mention his name. I'm not going to say anything else about him other than to mention his name. Just if you watch football, and please, if you're playing fantasy, especially if you're playing Dynasty, watch football. Don't just go box score hunting. Box score hunting is fine. That's a piece of it, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. Watch the game. Keep an eye on Noah Gray.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Kelsey will leave at some point. He will retire. This is the last year of his contract.
Wiley is not looking good either, too.
Wiley does not look good. The Chiefs don't look good, but just keep an eye on Noah Gray over the next couple of weeks because I do think he is eventually the Kelsey replacement. And you just talked about it. You want a tight end attached to a good quarterback and a good offense. Why would you not want the tight end that's attached to Patrick Mahomes? Why would you not want Josh Allen? Why would you not want Dallas Goedert? I don't know who the next guy up is, Calcaterra. I don't think Calcaterra is a very good player, having seen him, but it's Jalen Hurts, man. Go
Goddard's
figure it out.
An elite blocker, too. He's just
Exactly
always in the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to run through this segment really quickly, and then we will get to the questions. I do a segment, and this is new this year, called the 2-minute drill. I can't do the 2-minute drill and then not talk about what happened the week before. So last week in the 2-minute drill, I was focusing on 4 things. Kinshawn Judkins, if he plays, what does it look like? He had a 27% snap share this week. He went 10 for 61, no touchdown, but he also went 3 for 3 in the receiving game. So I think that ramps up. If you have Judkins, I have him at Kendall. I know you do in a couple places. We're looking for what it looks like again this week, but I think what you saw that first week and Stefanski's comment about he did what we asked him to do, that should excite you, right? So we'll continue to look on that. Last week, I was looking at the Houston Texans. Oof. It looks bad, man. It looks really, really bad. I'm concerned about Jaden Higgins as much as I love him because, again, like you said perfectly, it could be a lost season for him. It could be a developmental season for him, especially if Christian Kirk comes back this week. So I'm certainly not panicking on him. You drafted him to be the future, and I think he will be, but it doesn't look good to start with. Last week, I was looking at sustainability in week 1 stars. Zay Flowers, stay with it. Keon Coleman, stay with it. Travis Etienne, solid. Stay with it. You're going to be happy there. The biggest question I had was Daniel Jones. The answer is yes. I think he's certainly stream worthy, right? We opened the show by saying I've got a league where Jaden Daniels probably isn't going to play this week in redraft. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Daniel Jones is someone that I'm considering streaming this week if Jaden can't go. Kyle Pitts, look, they were bad. Falcons were just bad. So I think Pitts is going to probably regress back to what Kyle Pitts has done. Go Gators, as much as I love the kid and I want him to be the next, Hall of Fame gold jacket guy. I don't see it happening, but I don't think he's going to remain sustainable. And then the last thing I was looking at last week was the Eagles wide receivers. The show is called Pain or Panic, and I almost made him the poster boy. I probably should have. I have serious concerns about A.J. Brown. He's getting older. He's 27 years old. He's getting to be at the end of this contract.
Trade him to the Chiefs.
They do trade him. They do not need him to win. It is evident. They can win with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and fill in the blank pass catcher with that defense. They just don't need him to win. So I have concerns. I think you need A.J. Brown to have a monster breakout game in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then he might be a topic of somebody we're talking about a sell high. With that, with the age cliff, I'm concerned. Devonta Smith, I think, is fine. He's younger. He's under contract. I know A.J. Brown's under contract too, but it was something I was looking at was, the Eagles wide receivers. What does the target share look like? That's what we talked about on the 2-minute drill. The target share was better. I think if my memory's right, I can look it up. But I think off memory, he had 8 targets. And you could see in the first half.
8 and 6 or 7, I think.
They were forcing it to him. You could tell. It was definitely one of those conversations in practice. Yo, dog, give me the ball. Got you. That
was my best bet last week. Their over-under was 6 targets each. And I'm like, dude, they're going to force feed him the ball. I'm just going to take both of them over. Yeah.
Had to. And it was...
They didn't catch most of them, but...
It was bad. So I'm still concerned about that. So I will get to the 2-minute drill and what I'm looking for this week in just a minute. But why don't, Kendall, let's do some questions. We'll start at the top here. Dylan Obus, apologies if I butchered your last name there, my guy, but appreciate you being here. He says, what's happening, gang? I just traded Hawkinson and JCM. For those that don't know, that is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, otherwise known as Bill. In redraft, for Tucker Kraft and Ramondre. How are we feeling?
Dub. Hawkinson might not be startable rest of season.
Agreed.
So like you dropped him. You didn't even trade him, but oops, you did trade him. No, that's a smash. And JCM's hype is, I like him, don't love him. He fits in that category where the hype is 15% better than maybe where it should be and reasonable. And Tucker Kraft to the absolute moon. Yeah. And Ramondre ain't so bad. I like we kind of forgot that Ramondre is also a good pass catcher, and that showed. So yeah, you huge dub.
I will just add this. Ramondre and JCM, I believe, could have a similar range of outcomes this season. Hawkinson is not even in the same, to use a atmospheric term, stratosphere, Kendall, just for you with science, as Tucker Kraft. So great trade, Dylan.
Let's out-science each other. Let's see what we got.
No, let's not. I'm not going to win that one. So we're going to stop at that one.
You're going to see my nerd side come out real bad here.
I'm nerdy about a lot of things. Science ain't one of them. So Andre wants to know how, and this is, Andre, I apologize. This is a question I'm going to bring up at the end for Andre, not making him stay the whole show, but I did bring this up as trade of the week in the last segment. So I'm going to bring this up at the end. But good news, Andre has a second question. We will get to this one. I'm trying to sell JT while his value is high. What should his price tag be? Jonathan Taylor. Dynasty? I'm going to let you, I assume Dynasty. I'm just going to say this and I'll let you have the take. I wouldn't sell him. Not right now. That's my take.
I mean, I assume there's more to it, right? I assume this is if you're not winning this year, you shouldn't keep a running back you can't use.
You've seen those first 2 weeks. You probably won last week just because of JT, unless you have Colston Loveland as your tight end, and you know what I mean. Unless you got zeros, like you probably won because of JT last week. He was RB1.
Andre, my challenge, honestly, man, is without seeing your roster, when you're selling a running back this early in the season, we're talking a dynasty show. Even talking about the type of compensation really heavily affects, what your overall plan is. I don't mean this is a cop-out, Phil. I know you know what I'm talking about, but the last thing I want to do is lead you down a path that is, it sounds like good advice, but it's the wrong path for your build. I mean, right now, I'm trying to give you very just ballparky stuff, so take this as relative as best I can give you. He's well below 2 firsts, but I do think he's over a first. And I think he's over a first and second with how he will help someone win a league this year. Mm-hmm. So I'm not selling him for less than a first and a second. But keep in mind, if that first is a 110 and that second is the 210, I think you kind of got boned, right? So you're going to have to get a little bit crafty. Depending on your build, this is a player I'm fine trading him for a first and every third that's ever existed if that player will not take him. I'll take a first. I'll take Braylon Allen in 3/3. I would do that, but it's about what type of compensation you get back. I would take a first and Trey Benson in a third. I would do something along those lines. And I don't have this written down, chat. I'm trying to give Andre something here, but it's got to be more than a first and a second. More than a first and a second, below 2 firsts. That's where I'm at, or I'm waiting.
Yeah, I said it, and I have a hard time selling him. The age, the contract, the usage, the fact that
he looks amazing. He looks
amazing. But here's my biggest thing, right? We play Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. Who's the quarterback for the Colts next year?
Daniel Jones.
Possibly. But if it's Daniel Jones, are you excited by that? Because I'm not. If it's Anthony Richardson, are you excited by that as much as I want it to be? I'm not. It could be a rookie. My point is this. It's going to be the JT show next year. I just don't. But that's what I'm saying, right? I don't see this isn't like your Chase Brown, right? And all of a sudden Joe Burrow's coming back to upgrade Jake Browning. You have Daniel Jones, who, sorry, Daniel Jones, you're not a fantasy superstar. You're a competent quarterback for 2 games. This is a player that got a contract in New York because of what Saquon Barkley did, not because he was a rock star. And look what it cost him. It cost him his job because the Giants finally realized, oh shit, our best player, who by the way we traded, was the guy we actually should have paid instead of paying the quarterback because we had to pay the quarterback because he's the quarterback. Wrong. This is why what's her name? Jim Irsay's daughter. This is why she's walking around with a freaking microphone in her ear, because she's not trying to spend millions of dollars to make a mistake. Not a bad idea, actually. I think it's a little micromanaging, but like not the world's worst idea to be involved and like understand, am I paying the right people to make the right decisions for my franchise? Because it's her franchise now. So I wouldn't sell, but that's just me.
Last little thing, just a tiny little thing on JT,
Yeah.
on JT real quick. One thing to consider here is who you're selling him to. We know we're selling for picks. Okay. If
Great
I
point.
have an
Great point.
opportunity to sell to someone who is not competing as well as they'd like to, but they want to, they're going from okay to good.
Yep.
I might pull the trigger on that faster, because if they fail, that first could still be mid. And how much, if you're trying to move up from the 110 to the 106, what does that cost you? It might be a future first. It realistically might. So if you wait too long to sell and you're like, oh, I can get 2 first from the definitely will win the league, that's a 112 and a 112. And that's just not great. That's not enough. You're not getting upside compensation. You know what I mean? You're just getting a lot of it. You're getting 2 early seconds. So keep that in mind when you're selling. You need an upside case. If you can find a place to capitalize where you can go after a mid first, they're eager, but they're not really making a smart decision. That's the place to pull the trigger.
Yep. Fantastic point. Please always consider what you are selling before you do it, because firsts on paper look great. But as Kendall just said, if all of a sudden the team that you sell to goes and makes the playoffs and makes a run, that first doesn't look as sexy. Great point. The Smitty would like to know, I'm 0-2 in a 2-quarterback league. I'm not sure what Daniel's quest
Daniel's
means,
legs.
But, sorry?
I think it's Daniel's legs.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go Purdy. So Purdy's out. All right. So he has Purdy. His backups are Cam Ward and Spencer Rattler. His running backs are Travion, Monty, B-Rob, and James Conner, with Bill and then Jake Browning and Mac. Oh, okay. I see. Bill, Jake Browning, and Mac Jones are on the waiver wire. Who would you prioritize in what order? Interesting that Bill is on the waiver wire. This must be a pretty small league.
So Daniels might not play, but he has Cam
Daniel's
Ward and
quest.
Spencer
I
Rattler.
see. Daniel's questionable. Right. So okay. So Jaden's questionable. Purdy's out. So his backups are Cam Ward and Spencer Rattler.
Startable.
I see. Okay, I understand the question now. So Mac Jones, Jake Browning, and Bill are on the waiver wire. Who would you prioritize? All right, I have my answer, Kendall, but I'll let you go first unless you need more time, and then
it's Bill.
Yeah, Bill is who I would prioritize as well. I would start Mac Jones over Spencer Rattler in a heartbeat.
I would too. I think Rattler's startable, but I would definitely take Mac Jones.
I would take Mac Jones, and I would take Mac Jones over Jake Browning. I understand the weapons, and I get that.
No, I would too.
I do, but I saw it last week. Mac Jones looked atrocious for 2 quarters, and then all of a sudden he kind of figured it out, and we looked okay. To be fair, I mean, we play the Saints and they suck, but
it's a simple value. If you take Bill, you could then sell Bill for the rest of the waiver plus all their fab. He's just worth more the rest of season.
Agreed.
So it's a better asset. You can do something with it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Even if you lose a week because of it, Bill will win you a title before the rest of them.
I would also consider this. Jake Browning is playing on the road against Minnesota, who I think has a pretty good defense. Yeah. The Niners play Arizona, and Arizona's defense tried really, really hard to let Carolina win that game last week. So I would take Mac Jones over Jake Browning just based on the matchup for this week, and I would definitely take Bill. Yeah. The Smitty also has another question. Would you trade Nico for Tet McMillan and Javonte? Where you at with that one, Kendall?
Personally, yeah, give me the Tet side. Yeah. I'm too in on Higgins. I think Nico is such this alpha one until he has any competition, and then he'll just be good. Everyone thinks I'm burying Nico. I'm just I just don't think Nico's an alpha. I just think he's good. I'm not ready to anoint the guy. I watched more than anyone else has watched him. Promise, I've watched him more than anyone else has watched him. He's good, not great. He's worse BTJ by a decent margin.
I will take a different. I'm with you on the trade. I'll say this in a vacuum. In a redraft league, I would take Tet and Javonte, no question, because I think Javonte has rest of season value. And to be fair, after 2 weeks, he was on our what to watch for, and he was on the show doc last week. He's passed the eye test twice. I just don't see. I'm sure Miles Sanders got the touchdown, but that game there was 90 something points in that game. So whatever. In Dynasty, I would counter with Javonte off that trade, Tet and a different piece for
I
Nico.
like where you're going with that. Yeah,
That's the caveat that I would adjust this for. So in a redraft league, I'm on the Tet side like you are, but in Dynasty, I would get Javonte out of that trade. And here's why. I just don't see a world. Let's say the offensive line improves immensely in Houston. I don't know if I believe in CJ Stroud enough to support a top 5, top 3 season from Nico.
Yeah, I think they're.
And I'm not saying that that's what I see for Tet, but I'm getting multiple pieces for Nico, and I do see a world where the range of outcomes for Nico and Tet is a lot closer than you want it to be.
Yeah. Give me a pick package instead of Javonte, and
Agreed.
Then watch our shows and draft really good people.
Give me Tet in a second, and I would do that trade because that's a first and a second basically because Tet was drafted in the first round, so that's a first and a second for Nico. So, all right, let's knock out the 2-minute drill, and then we will get into the trade of the week. One extra question. Andre had a question that I wanted to roll into trade of the week. So, Kendall, if you could, my friend, give me in 1 second. Let me get this comment off the screen.
Timer.
Give me 2 minutes on the clock, please, sir. 2-minute drill starting now. There are 3 things that I am looking for in week 3. The first and most important is what is the ceiling case for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with Jake Browning at quarterback? In a dynasty league, you would never trade away Jamar Chase, but Higgins is in a flat tier. So I would consider in a vacuum or depending on my win window, trading T. Higgins for a Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, George Pickens, or somebody with a contract, insert your wide receiver of choice, with a similar ceiling outcome. The second thing I'm looking for this week are who are my week 2 outliers. Hunter Renfrow. I believe he's already overtaken Xavier Legette, but does he remain a thing? Bryce Young went to him in a game where they were playing comeback. I absolutely believe that that's what's going to happen the rest of the season because I don't believe in the ceiling for Xavier Legette. We do believe in Tet, but I think Hunter Renfrow does remain a thing at least for the next couple weeks in Carolina. Troy Franklin, is he a wide receiver too? Or did he just have a good week because Courtland Sutton was absent? That is what I'm looking for with Troy Franklin. We know Sean Payton likes to spread the ball around. We know that he features multiple running backs. He also features multiple receivers. Was it an outlier week or is Troy Franklin here to stay? So that's what I'm looking for with Troy Franklin this week. In Green Bay, is Chris Brooks the RB2? We know Josh Jacobs is a monster. We know he's the guy, but at the end of the day, if he were to miss any time, is it Chris Brooks' backfield? The last thing I'm looking for this week, and the third thing is Kenneth Walker. Week 1, 40% snap share, 10 rushing attempts, 20 yards, no touchdown. Week 2, a 35% snap share, but 13 for 105 and 1. Does the stat line tell the story? Charbonnet still outsnapped him even though he underproduced him. Is Kenneth Walker going to continue to have monster games even though the snap share has been decreased? Nailed it.
That was wonderful.
That was the 2-minute drill. Let's get to the last piece of the show. As we do every week, we want to end with the extra point, that little bonus that helps you win the league. We are not here to make you guys middle of the table pack teams. We are here to help you win championships. I don't actually have a trade of the week because it's so early, but I did get this question. I think Broshov is here. He is. He's in the chat here this week. So shout out Broshov. He's in a couple leagues. Kendall, he's in our fantasy network. Yeah, our newest dynasty league we just started up. But he actually sent this to me, so I wanted to feature this for him. And I know Andre had this question, so I'll pull this question back for Andre if I can find it. I started. Where the hell did I put it? Right there. Andre's question was, how are we feeling about Genty? It's sad how bad the O-line is. My question is from Broshov. He's been getting questions about Genty and Egbuka. Would you rather, in a full PPR 12-team dynasty format, have it Egbuka or Genty?
It's still Genty for me.
Okay.
Even if I didn't even look at the players, it's just one of those from a market watch perspective. Unless Genty is awful, and I think it's more the team than him. And dude, it's been 2 games in his rookie season. We got to pump the brakes on big time. On the market right now, if you just try to trade him, there's just still a divergence in value. So let's say I'm a biggest Igbokah fan and the biggest Genty hater, I still have to say Genty because I can still sell Genty in most leagues for Igbokah plus.
Yep.
So it's just we're not there yet, and I don't think Igbokah is going to have enough ridiculous out of nowhere production that gets there. Igbokah is just going to be very good, but I don't think he's going to be like, oh my goodness, 90 yards and a touchdown every single game.
Yeah.
You know, I think 50 yards and a touchdown or 90 and no touchdown. But when Genty hits, he's irreplaceable. He might not hit for a minute, but you know, it's one of those things. In 6 to 8 weeks, I could be like, oh man, I wish I had maybe taken that back a little bit. But I can make a move in between those 6 to 8 weeks before I see the values getting too close.
I agree. I think most people would still take Genty for the simple reason that two simple reasons. He was the 101. You're not giving up on him after 2 weeks. Number two, it's a running back, and the scarcity at the running back position when you find a guy that hits is so difficult because there's just so many more wide receivers, right? If you take Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb completely out of the picture, you could never trade for them. There's a world where we could have a entire show, and we've had shows about who's the wide receiver 4 through 12. We could have that range of outcome discussion, and we could probably have 15 to 20 names that could finish in those 8 spots realistically, right? I personally am not panicking on Genty. It did not look good last night. But here's the question I would ask you. He scored in week 1. What if Genty scores a touchdown last week? Let's say it's the same stat line, but let's say he scores a touchdown. Are we having this conversation right now? Probably not.
No,
right.
I don't think so.
Probably not. I think the other caveat to this question is, I look, you know me, I always build my teams, especially in PPR, with receiver heavy, and I usually get an anchor running back, and I sort of, piecemeal my second running back and figure it out later, right? I love Igbokah. I have him in a ton of places. I think he is I said this to you in the summer. I think he's the wide receiver 1 in this class, and after 2 weeks, I've been proven right. But Chris Godwin's going to come back. Mike Evans isn't going to be. He hasn't been poor, but he hasn't been Mike Evans. He's going to have a Mike Evans game here in the next couple of weeks.
Hasn't made a mistake yet. I mean, he's coming big and a lot of third down.
But I'm saying, like, he hasn't had a Mike Evans, 3 touchdown, 80 yards and 3 touchdown kind of a game yet, and he will, right? Bucky Irving catches passes. Jalen McMillan will come back he won't come back probably this season, but at some point he will come back.
He's a good player.
And he's a good player. So I think Igbokah, while I love him and I would love to put him ahead of Genty, I just can't do it yet. But
Courtland Sutton's a great player.
Courtland Sutton's a great player, and he was
sometimes there's other
6.
good guys too,
Yeah. So I think the answer is still Genty, but I wouldn't trade Igbokah. I wouldn't trade either of them. That's the answer to the question. I would just be happy with what you have right now and move forward. I would say this: if I had to make a decision because it's a full PPR, if my running backs are good, I would take Igbokah. If I have JT, James Conner, and I don't know, give me a third name, Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, sure, that works.
Then I would take Igbokah. I'm assuming Genty, right? So I have JT, Genty, and then those other names. Then I would go ahead and trade Genty for Igbokah and fill it in later.
Yeah.
So that's what
the only reason the question's tough is I know it's like a vacuum, but like, how come it's not like at a minimum like Igbokah in a second? And that's still not enough. But why isn't there also like why isn't there 3/3 attached to it? It's the little things like those things matter though, because you can spin those up forever. You want flexible pieces. You can't trade nothing for something. So you do need to get these little pieces of value. So I'm the thirds guy, right? And I'm always like, look, if there's a little bit of value there, if he likes this player, he will be okay giving up one extra third that he wasn't prepared to.
Agreed.
Just like I'm the same. I'll buy that too. So I'd like to see a little more nuance personally, but if we're doing this question in a vacuum, I have to give a vacuum answer.
Yeah. Portugal Soccer has asked a couple times, so let's get this one answered. Kamara, Genty, full PPR rest of season.
Genty.
Yeah, Genty for me as well. We talked about this one for a while, but let's just kind of finish here. Taylon Brown, what should I do with BTJ?
Must start.
Hold.
And hold him.
You're not in Dynasty. You're not selling him unless you can get a crazy offer, like we talked about earlier. We think he's a buy right now. If we think he's a buy, that means we think you can find someone who's probably panicking or might have a really deep roster of wide receivers that might be willing to sell because they want to go a different direction or grab some picks. So I would definitely not sell him if he's a buy candidate. I'm not even going to bother with Rosto's question because he just wants me to put him on the show and he's already on the show. So you don't get the love you deserve, Rosto. So you can't have the question. So Broshov says running backs are Gibbs, Bill, Swift, and Monty. Stick with Igbuka. I would.
Yeah,
I would. You have a ceiling. You had the overall RB1 last year in Gibbs, who has an overall RB1 ceiling again this season. Bill, we don't know what he is yet. And now if he's, put it this way, if Bill can't do it now, his ceiling's got to be in question. Swift is the good news about Swift, even though it's been bad for him. He's the only guy there.
Well, he can sell Igbuka for Genti.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, bro, what league are we talking? It's not a league we're in because you don't have Igbuka in that league. That's interesting. Look, there's a nuance to that, Broshov, just because I'm like, I would buy to then sell. Like, I would buy Genti to then sell him for more, but this is getting into a more complex question. Like in a simplistic answer. So look, if I can sell Igbuka, pick up Genti, hold Genti until Genti has a big game, I can then sell Genti for. I mean, I've got a bunch of my guys that I like so let me go replace Genti with running backs that I like that I think will hit later on, right? I'm a big Bashal Tootin guy. I think that's going to be a thing. So I want to go and get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and like a couple little pieces that no one cares about. I still think you can go get that because I think the little pieces still most people don't care about. And I love my draft picks. And if I give up winning this year, I just don't think he's ready to give up winning this year. And if you want to definitely win this year, I do think you have to keep Igbuka.
I agree with that. I think we need to know more about this roster. But here's my thing. If you could sell Igbuka to get Genti, you are getting a massive upgrade because the part I didn't see until just now, and this is my own issue, you have Gibbs and Monty. Sure, you can play them together each week, but you just don't want to. Like, they both got rushing touchdowns or whatever. They both scored last week, but like, we know that doesn't happen last week. So Rasta got to make me pop in the studio. We'll see you in there afterwards. I'm not talking about Jake Browning anymore on this show, Rasta. There's the answer to your question. Like, we don't know what Bill is. So let for the sake of this conversation, for 2 more minutes, let's say Bill flops. You just traded Igbuka plus whatever pieces you need to get Genti, to have Genti and Gibbs. If Bill hits, I would rather have Igbuka. But you don't know what Bill is yet. He looked good in the week 1. And
can I give you a case here? Okay.
Please.
Do the trade, okay, and then sell Bill for Wandale in a second or Wandale in a couple thirds. I bet you Wandale's points per game this year right now is not going to be like massively off of Igbuka. But he's not valued a ton.
Possible. It's a range of outcomes possible.
Dynasty-wise, I don't think he hangs on forever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, for 1 year, if it's about winning this year, I think long-term Genti will be Genti. And I think you can replace a little this with a little bit of that. I would do the trade, then I would go buy Debo as a rental because I know Debo and Igbuka are going to be pretty close in PPG. It's not a dynasty thing, but like if it's about maintaining some value this year, I'll keep Genti long term. I'll have the value from Debo in a 1 year to replace Igbuka's production and still win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Again, in a vacuum, I would rather have Genti over Igbuka. But this is literally why we're having this conversation. It's a solid question, right? Like, it's where do we?
It is a good question.
Ross is saying in the chat here, and we already talked about this earlier. This is why you got to show up on time to the show, Ross. Don't turn up 45 minutes late, bro. When Godwin comes back, he might actually be better because he's going to be focused on Evans and Godwin. I agree with that comment. But now you're talking about when Godwin comes back and I wrote an article about this a couple weeks ago. Is Igbuka still going to be the wide receiver 2 when Godwin comes back? I think he could be. I actually think he will.
I think he
There-
will.
there
He
is
just, I just
no-
don't, he doesn't profile for me. Just to be honest, I don't think he profiles as a guy like. So they literally were like, I don't give a shit who's. I don't care if the best corner in the NFL is guard Nico, and there's 3 of them. I guess we're gonna keep throwing to Nico because there's guys in the NFL you just do that to.
They
Neighbors
seem
double
to-
covered.
Neighbors every
Guess
week.
what? We're going
Yeah.
Egbuka double coverage. He's not getting the ball. He's awesome, but he's not built to be that like I will go and Randy Moss somebody. He's just the smartest, savviest NFL ready player. But we can't just go put him in the like, oh, he's going to be 20 points a game for the rest of his life. I just don't think he's that guy. I think he's awesome, but like we gotta take it easy on what he's going to become.
So here's the coach in me. The coach in me says Jordan Addison, when he comes back, not next week, but the week after, is not coming back from injury. He's coming back from a suspension. Rashee Rice is not coming back from injury. He's coming back from a suspension. I understand the rules about, not being able to practice and all this other crap, but like they are healthy. They are ready to go. Chris Godwin is coming off of an injury. He's 28 years old. Let me look that up real quick. He's 28 years old, to my knowledge.
28 years young. Man, wow, he's got
He
some life
is
left.
29 years old. He's not getting any younger. So I don't know, as much as we love Chris Godwin, I don't know that he comes back and just displaces Egbuka, right?
He could come back and be dust, man. He
That's
could
my-
legitimately
that's-
come back and not
That's
be
the point
guy.
I'm making. I'm just looking at his card here. Last year, 7 games because of the injury. So I'm going to throw that season out. 2023, 17 games, wide receiver 29. 2022, 15 games, wide receiver 19. He has not been a wide receiver 1 since 2019 and is the only time in his career he has ever been a wide receiver 1. So we do this, right? Coaches get jobs because, quote unquote, they're a head coach. Bullshit. You just crashed out in the first round of the playoffs every year, Mike Tomlin. I understand you're a head coach, and I love Mike Tomlin. Maybe it's time for you to not be a head coach anymore. We just keep recycling these guys over and over and over again because the idea is that they're a great wide receiver. They're a great running back. Nick Chubb, did you see the 25-yard rushing touchdown last night?
I did see that.
Bro, Nick Chubb was running on his heels like he needed those little shoes the kids wear with the wheelie shoes. Like he needed a boosty. He needed a boosty pack. He looked toast.
Yeah, I definitely.
You know what I
agree
mean?
on
Like,
that one.
but it's Nick Chubb. It's the sexy name of like, oh my God, he's going to get all these short yardage touchdowns for Houston this year. No, he's not. So that's my point with Chris Godwin. To bring it back to this conversation, because I just went off on a tangent there. I see a world where Egbuka retains his place, where Godwin doesn't take his spot. And in that world, how much different is he than Genty? It's only 2 weeks. You need more data. Genty looked awful last night, but we said this a couple minutes ago. If Genty scores, I'm gonna pull his line real quick because I need the numbers.
Man, shoot! Now that I think about, I gotta
Like,
really do some.
Genty was
here.
56% snap share. I co-manage a team with a.
And he went from 85 down to that.
86% to
Nuts.
56%. I co-manage a league with a guy who supports the show here, a guy that we know pretty well. And he messaged me this morning and he said, Zamir White, it's a dynasty league, obviously. And he said, Zamir White's on the waiver wire. Should we go get him? Yeah. Why the fuck not? So look at this. 11 for 4. And look, and let's give the Chargers credit because their defense looked awesome.
Yeah, they did.
And they lost Khalil Mack and they still looked freaking awesome. So maybe the Chargers defense really is that good. But 11 for 43? So let's say this is a half PPR league. He scored 5.9 points last night. I'll pull a full PPR league. Give me 1 second. In full, he scored probably 7.4. So let's say he scores a touchdown. That puts him at 13.4. He scored 12 in week 1 with the touchdown. Are we having this conversation? Or is it just because he looked so bad last night?
I do have a new thought now.
Let's do it. This is what we're here for.
I do have a new thought.
I don't care if the show's running long.
I'm
This is a
getting-
good debate. This is what the people need. They need to know. Genty and Egbuka is a good Bro Shove. Shout out, my guy. This is a good segment.
Yeah.
Good conversation.
All right, so after some further examining, here's where I'm at. Okay, Genty was at 3 firsts. But this is why bad teams should not draft running backs. What the hell are you going to do with them?
Agreed.
I
Sorry to the
think
Raiders fans.
I'm wondering how much of a perma value dump it is because I don't know when the Raiders are going to get their shit together. And I also don't think he's going to be. If he was going to be the passing down back a bunch, I think we would have seen it by now in a game script that was kind of meant for it. And we didn't. And I'm starting to think that unless we see, even if we see a big game from him, we'd have to see back-to-backs. No one's paying 3 firsts for Genty right now. Well, some will. But I think most people are.
The name.
They're taking him down a little bit of a notch. Egbuka, I think, is minimum 2 firsts. Are you getting it? Are you? No one's selling Egbuka for a first and a second. No one's selling him for a first, second, and third. I think you're looking at 2 first minimum. So if Genty is down to 2 firsts, but I'm not giving you the third, and I'll give you some other stuff, and Egbuka's up to 2 firsts, by end of season, it's kind of one of those things where if the Raiders don't get their shit together, you may have to hold Genty. I mean, he's young, right? You might have to hold him for a while until he pops. I don't like assets. You want to talk real stockbroker money? Like in a down market, a stock owns you. You don't own the stock because you are not allowed to sell without taking a loss, which is unfathomable. So if you buy Genty, you have to hold a guy that maybe won't produce and maybe won't return value for a while, assuming he gets back to it. I think Egbuka wins, and then you can still, like, he's more liquid, and he's a position that doesn't get injured as much. There's an argument to, like, even if you could sell Genty right now for a second more than Egbuka, the year and a half range, Egbuka is more liquid and wins you more games and has less downside. It's safer. If your team's good and you just want to avoid disaster, it is Egbuka. If you are not a great team and you just need to value spin all the way up and you're trading to trade, you know, if you're doing that play, do the play, but you're not buying Genty. You're buying an asset that's high value and you're looking to flip. You're buying to flip. I think you need to be in a desperate situation to do the Genty deal. And if you're in a good situation, be safe. Don't bury yourself with risk and keep Egbuka. That's where I'm staying.
I want to give you some names real quick, and we're going to put a bow on this because we could go all night on this, but I want to give you some names, okay? As of today, it's only 2 weeks into the season. Emeka Egbuka in full PPR is wide receiver 13 on the season. Here are some names in front of him. Puka, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase. There is not a world where you are drafting in a dynasty startup Emeka Egbuka ahead of any of those players. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Here's the next group of names. Zay Flowers, Huge, Debo, JSN, Wandale, Keenan. Excuse me, I forgot CeeDee Lamb. Let's put CeeDee Lamb in that top group. But the rest of those names, Keenan, Wandale, JSN, Debo, Huge, Flowers, Rome. There are names in there that I would take Egbuka in a startup, regardless of auction or snake. I would take him ahead of about half, maybe 40% of those names.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling because here's the names. I'm not going to read them all because Genty's so far down the list.
Backs now, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going to because it would take me. It's most of the leagues.
Yeah,
it's only 2 weeks, right? But like, again, the perception is that he is the overall RB1. He is the next Bijan. He is the next Gibbs. He was the 101. And I get that. But you and I talked all summer and we said there is a range of outcomes, not after last night, maybe after last night, but there is a range of outcomes where Hampton is the better running back out of this class. There are people in redraft that never would have done it because it would have been insane. But Bill was going in like the 5th and 6th round. This is a 7th fucking round player, guys. And you've seen, look at Isaiah Pacheco. He's fallen so far off the map. I don't know if he's even going to be on the Chiefs next year. I'll be honest with you. The Chiefs may say, screw it and scrap the whole running back room and just start again.
Give me some Brashard Smith, baby.
I mean, why not? But to me, it's like
they need pass catchers.
They need pass catchers, right? Like I'm struggling with. It's what I was talking about earlier with these coaches that are recycled coaches. Oh, well, he's a head coach. No, he's not. Go be a fucking coordinator because you clearly are not a head coach. Arthur Smith, you are not a head coach. You shouldn't even be a coordinator. But these guys just continuously get jobs, and it's these players that continuously get because of the name value. So I'm on the Egbuka side right now. I think I was pretty torn to begin with. I was probably 51-49 in favor of Genti. I'm going to flip it and say that I would take Igbokwe right now over Genti in a Dynasty startup. This is the perfect way to end the show, actually. In 2 weeks, if you are new to the show, I threw the link in the chat. Please jump on, like, and subscribe. It helps the show. Obviously, it gives you an idea of when we are going live. We will be live, Kendall and I, every Tuesday night, 7:30 Pacific time. But we are going to do after week 4. So in 2 weeks, our Tuesday show is going to be a rookie check-in. And this is all we are talking about. How are the rookies doing? Where did we draft them? What's the range of outcomes? Where are they in Dynasty? And then the week after that, our Tuesday show after the week 5 show, we are going to do a 4-round rookie redraft.
Ooh,
so if you want to get in on that, send me a DM on Sleeper at @PRuskin. There's only 12 spots, and some of the spots I will give up my spot. I think you and I probably should give up our spots in that draft so that we can actually do the show and like host
easier to
it.
commentate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I've got a couple guys that I'm going to personally invite in there because they want to be in. They're sharp drafters. They'll make the draft the way it probably should be. So I've probably got about 9 or 10 spots available in that draft in the 12 team. It'll be 12 team, single quarterback. It will not be tight end premium because I don't want to just spend too much time talking about, Tyler Warren. I want to see where Tyler Warren would go if it wasn't tight end premium. I still think he's going to be higher in that redraft, or excuse me, in that mock rookie redraft that we do than where he actually went in real drafts. But I don't think he's going to. If it was tight end premium, he might be the 103.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. Like, and that's probably too high. So, not in tight end premium, but in a regular league, that's probably too high, right? So, I want to see where it goes. So that's what's coming up. So we're going to be talking about some rookies here over the next couple of weeks, because I do think a month is a good sample size to really give us an accurate window of ceiling, floor, what's the range of outcomes. Hopefully, knock on wood, everyone's still around. We know this last week was a quarterback bloodbath. We know this week 3 is someone's going down. You know it. It's just the way that NFL is. We hope that it doesn't happen, but we know we're going to lose players on our roster. So we'll probably be talking about more Mac Jones next week and more Jake Browning and whoever else.
You got to do it from time to time, man.
We got to do it. So, but again, if you like the show, please jump on youtube.com/@theextrapointffb. You can follow the show there, like and subscribe. I've got the banner running. You can follow me on X, Instagram, Patreon, and Spotify. For all of us here at Get Right Fantasy Network, and for those of you who are fans of the Extra Point itself, we appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday evening. Don't forget to put your waiver claims in your redraft leagues. We got some big waivers coming up, and we will see you all next week. We out.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.